What do you mean?
You have the power to create a new school tradition that everyone has to follow. What's it going to be?
That's a crazy question. Everyone has to follow.
New tradition.
I don't know. I kind of hate school traditions. Can it be like a school tradition to not have a school tradition?
Okay. Like get rid of one school tradition or rule?
Or just like... Actually, does it count as a tradition if everyone can just walk faster in the halls?
I'd say that's a tradition.
They gotta walk faster, bro. I got places to be, class to attend,
Right.
chop chop.
So you're forced in an infinite time loop that you relive forever,
Sure.
and it has to be a day of high school. What day are you choosing?
There was a calc test last year. I had like a string of like horrible test scores. Like, well, not horrible. I mean, like, but horrible to me. It was like 70s, like a few 60s, and I was
Right.
like, man, I gotta lock in. And then I did, and I got a 98
Ooh.
on that calc test. Chapter 6. It's you gotta find area between functions and like volume and shit.
Ooh.
It was a W test. I don't remember the rest of the day because I was so hyped about that. I'm not even gonna lie.
What hour did you have it in? Was it towards the beginning of the day?
I had fourth hour.
Fourth hour.
Yeah. That was a W hour. Fourth hour calc last year. Tommy, Garrett, just chilling. I don't know. Kind of a W. I gotta ask, is the Cholula hot sauce in frame?
No.
Ah, god damn it.
Okay. What's a trait you really admire in somebody, like one of your friends,
Sure.
that you've never really complimented before?
I think a really nice trait that I've seen, and actually a couple of my friends, is the ability to like compliment people, like not in front of them. And I feel like a lot of people that I talk to, it's not like they trash talk people because they really don't, but we don't talk positively about enough people outside of like talking to them. Like I can compliment people all I want when I'm talking to them, but being able to really nail home the idea that they're awesome when they're not there is, I really admire that.
Is there someone in particular you're thinking of?
Josh, the little boy, he's pretty good at that. I feel like a lot of times when I talk to him about mutual friends, he always is quick to point out like their strengths and never like their weaknesses or anything he's annoyed by, which I notice that more than most people.
Right.
And so that's why I think like he does a really good job with that.
Who knows you best for who you are?
I have no clue. I feel like a lot of people I talk to kind of think they know me really well, and I'm sure a lot of them do in a lot of ways. But there's just so much I don't share with a lot of people that I think it's hard to distinguish who really knows me and like who just like knows most of like my public image basically.
Right.
I think the closest I've gotten is either Josh, like I mentioned earlier. I feel like I can always like he'll understand when I'm saying something. Or Grace Lyles. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
She was always really good when we talk. I mean, we still talk obviously about kind of understanding the depths of a person, and I think that helps her understand someone like me better. And so that's, if I had to give an answer, it'd be one of those two. But honestly, I don't know.
What's sort of a way someone can bring out that side of you?
I don't know. I mean, the stuff I don't share is because like I don't need to talk about it, or like it's just something I would ponder by myself. So probably bringing that out would really just be like if it's one of those really deep conversations, or like just maybe something bubbled to the surface because something really good or really bad happened to make me want to talk about it. But I would say most of the stuff I keep to myself is just like, basic personal things that I just don't really need to talk about all the time. So
Hmm.
I guess to put it simply, it'd just be like in circumstances where talking about that is like important. So really good or really bad scenarios, something like that.
What makes silence so awkward in a conversation?
I think it's just that it's can be interpreted in so many ways, and it's never, since it's like not in one way. Like I feel like using Clues' method of sitting there silently waiting for questions to be asked, it's like too many people are worried about being judged or getting it wrong or being looked at differently by peers, which obviously, no matter how much you think that's toxic, you're still gonna like fall into that. Like unless you're in like I feel like when I succeed in like in asking questions in a class like that, it's never because Clue sits there and stares at us silently. It's always because like I can jump off of another idea, or like I can prove myself in a more like welcoming way than just sitting there silently waiting for something to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I think in conversation, it just brings up like we're not doing anything. We're not like I don't. You know what I mean? Like it's just there's nothing to lead off of, and if there's silence, then since it can be interpreted in so many different ways, and like it just doesn't sit right. Like
Mm.
straight silence is different than like gaps or like waiting.
When was the last time you were at ease during a silent portion of a conversation?
Um, I feel like at that point, if you're at ease in silence, it's not a conversation anymore. You're just kind of sitting there, which isn't a bad thing, but it's what it is. Like I feel like if I'm at ease in a conversation with a friend where there's silence, it's because we're now just evolved to just sitting there in each other's presence, waiting for the next conversation to arrive. Like it's not silence in a conversation; it's the end of the conversation. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like they're two different things.
Has it never served like more purpose to just sort of sit and think about what has been said in the conversation and then continuing not too long after?
Not really. I prefer to think out loud, and I think I've thought of situations where maybe I'm talking about a serious thing with someone, or like, a secret thing where like you gotta like process this for a little bit, or coming up with a solution. Those are the times that I can think of where silence is in a conversation, and then I'm at this point just like, I wish I could like think out loud. But if it's a silence, then it's weird to kind of breach that gap from sitting there and processing to talking about stuff again. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'd rather just talk about it out loud and get it all out there instead of processing in silence. That for me is again that end of conversation where like you can process things after the conversation and maybe start a new one later. Like you told me a big thing and now I like we talked about it for a little bit and then I later like am processing it because now the conversation's ended. And maybe if I wanted to talk about it again, I would just bring it up again, be like, yo, Sean, what's good? Like,
Mm.
you know what I mean?
Okay. What does that what does that feel like? The silence portion where neither of you are talking.
It just feels, I mean, like, since I have this, like, view of, like, how silence is kind of stupid in a conversation, a lot of times when I'm silent in like, a silent part, it's like, what are we doing here? I'm just thinking of, okay, what am I going to say as soon as we can talk again? Because clearly the person I'm talking to wants the silence, but I don't want it. I'm just trying to think of, okay, here's who we can talk, like, discuss or just, like, kind of chat, share.
Mm.
I think the biggest times I've seen big silences in conversations off the top of my head would just be like when someone is kind of sharing a very serious thing, and while I understand the idea of silence to kind of like we got to sit there and like this is a serious moment, I prefer to just kind of immediately go into talking about it, like yeah, it's tough that like your dad died or something like that, but like I'd prefer to talk about it. Or if you just wanted to share, hey, this thing happened anyway, I gotta go sit in silence because I need to process it.
Mm.
Two different things, you know what I mean?
Okay. Can you describe a moment when you felt completely misunderstood?
Oh, there was one time. I don't know if this really falls into the category, so we're gonna find out as I keep talking. Um, but like I like set up like a kind of like a reunion like meal with Fletcher because we hadn't talked for a while, and I was locked in. I was like sending confirmation. I was because this was kind of an organized thing, and we hadn't really talked in a long time, so I would become more mature as a person, and so I think that like different like level of maturity than who I was before kind of led like us crossing paths, and he like ended up canceling without me really knowing because I don't know, shit happened to him. But then I was just kind of sitting there like, well, I thought this was a more serious thing now that like we're closer to being adults and we're trying to like really kind of reunite, like talk a little bit more. But then when stuff didn't happen, I was just kind of sitting there like, really? Like I thought we were kind of past this. Like I thought he would know me better to not like just cancel out of the blue like that, and it was more of a organized thing. Does that make sense?
Mm.
That's the only really time I can feel like that was kind of bigger like that recently.
Yeah. Did you follow up recently after that sort of event, about that event?
Yeah, it ended up like I mean by the time I got home, I mean it was like I had driven to his house already and he just wasn't even picking up. So by the time I got home and later in the evening, we like called and we talked about it a little bit, but it was more of just like him saying like sorry, let's reschedule than us talking about what happened. You know what I mean? And it ended up fine. Like we ended up meeting up for real later, but I feel like that drive home was probably the last time I really felt like, really? I thought this was different. You know what I mean?
What's your favorite outdoor activity?
Pickleball.
Pickleball?
100%. Pickleball is so awesome. I was playing it earlier. I'm playing it tomorrow. I love pickleball. I never not have fun in pickleball unless I'm just like throwing a game. Like if I'm doing bad, that's the only time I'm not having fun. Otherwise, I love pickleball. W Sport. Amen.
Is there something in the vicinity that looks really fun?
I fuck with swing sets a lot.
You mess with swing sets?
Yeah, I do. I'm a big swing set guy. I'm a connoisseur, as some would say, to swing sets.
Why do you think people our age don't really go on swings anymore?
Good question. They're actually like the most fun thing to do at a playground.
Really? What was your favorite thing as a kid to go and do?
Probably the swings. I fucked up monkey bars a lot.
Oh yeah, monkey bars were probably
Because
my
the thing
favorite.
was, I used to not know like how to do them and like not be good on them.
Uh-huh.
But then like one day in like elementary school, I kind of figured it out. And I
Mm.
fucked up monkey bars for a while.
Oh yeah.
But then it kind of just that went away because I'm too tall for real monkey bars, and I don't think I have the upper body strength anymore.
Oh. I think I don't know. I really like climbing and like rock climbing.
Oh, I would jump farther, but my ankles would die.
Oh yeah, big impact.
I'm too old already.
Big joints.
Yeah, I got old man joints. My knees, my ankles, I'm cooked, bro.
Oh, your glasses fell.
Yeah. Where are they?
Oh,
There they are.
yonder.
I broke my last set of Culver's brand glasses, so I hope these don't break.
Why do you think, people, like you were mentioning earlier, that you were even a little bit afraid to go on the playground if there were like people around? What's so shameful about going on a playground?
I mean, it's just like, even when I'm with a bunch of people going on a playground, it's kind of just weird. It's better to have it all to ourselves, because then we're not bothering anyone. No one can be like...
Is it bothering when you're using a public sort of facility for its intended purpose?
I mean, a little when we're at this age and like size, like physically. Like, if I'm putting in full like I'm a kid at the playground having fun, like I can fucking body slam like a 7-year-old girl and she'll die. You know what I mean? Like, and just, and we're kind of perceived as more like mature, and like we're not supposed to have this kind of fun. So when little kids see us, it's kind of like, I don't know, that we're weird to them, and then it's just kind of like, I don't want to get in their way. I really hope they don't get in my way. So it's better to just kind of not worry about that.
What's a moment in your life when you felt the most vulnerable in a conversation?
Um, Probably last year. I think I remember the day, not like the date, but I remember the day. I was going through a lot of stuff, and kind of a lot of stuff in my life had just come to like a culmination, and it didn't go poorly, but it didn't go the way that I like was sure about. Like there was paths that I was sure about that it would go, and paths that I was not sure, and it kind of went down a not sure path. And so that evening, I ended up talking with one of my friends, Patrick, in my car outside of his house for probably minimum an hour, and just kind of about stuff that had happened and kind of how life would go on, how like what kind of happened to get to that day and stuff like that. And I think that's the last time I've like said everything that was on my mind in a conversation that's not just like silly goofy, you know, like I can say everything that's on my mind. That's funny jokes because that's all that is on my mind sometimes, but that was probably the last time I felt the most like open and honest in a conversation with someone.
And how did that vulnerability change your relationship?
Um, I mean, it kind of opened the door for more serious like conversations with him, and it kind of opened the door for more serious conversations with a lot of decent, like a decent number of people. But overall, it didn't change much. It was just kind of like that one day was probably the most I had like shared and really felt through talking. And I think after that, it was just kind of back to normal. I just like nothing major really changed. It's not like we came 10 times closer, 10 times farther apart, or anything like that. It was just kind of uh, like a capstone little thing. Like everything else was just kind of the same. Boy.
If someone wants to be your friend and connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Uh, that's cake. I feel like you either gotta have like some say be able to say something that makes me laugh, or laugh at what I say. Because honestly, I can go off of that forever. Like like if I can make you laugh with my stupid jokes, you probably know I make a lot of stupid jokes. If I can make you laugh with my stupid jokes, done. Cake. It doesn't matter interests, views, whatever. Like association, maybe age. I don't know. Like I'm not trying to get the allegations, but otherwise, um, like like I'm chilling if you laugh at my jokes, and if I laugh at your jokes, it's a pretty good chance I'll want to be around you more to easily talk. And then after that, honestly, once that makes the connection, like I'll learn about whatever you want to talk about. Um, I'll talk about whatever my interests. Obviously, like if we share interests, that's great. If we don't, like I'd probably listen at least. Like I make a lot of, I poke fun and make jokes about people who have different opinions than me. Like, and I'll like try and stand by my opinion no matter what. Like, I'll say like, man, I think barbecue sauce best condiment, and someone will say no, it's horseradish, and then I'll be able to like argue with them, and we'll have this like back and forth dialogue. And honestly, after that, like it doesn't like that's all you need. I think to make a stronger connection to that, you gotta like be a day one, and that's it. Like that's all you need to connect with me. No cap.